So now we're going to start adding some of the code that we need, some of the logic to deal with the input from the game controller buttons and whatnot. So we're going to come down here to the update method and add a conditional. That's an if statement. So we're going to say if, and then open parent, screen toggle, and then two equal signs, because we want to compare it, is equal to K. Okay, so that means keyboard is selected. Then we're going to go ahead and run this set text values. So come to the end of it, closing curly, it all indents, and get rid of this extra line here. And then an else, which will mean that screen toggle is set to G. We're going to call a different method called set controller values. Of course, this method doesn't exist yet, so we're going to come down here and choose this generate method stub. There it is. I'm going to cut it because we're up in the 5 original methods. Come down to the bottom, click after that curly, which I think is the last curly of this last method. And since we're on that line, the corresponding opening curly will be highlighted, sort of a gray background. And there it is. So that's the correct one to get outside of this method. And long method. So, okay, paste that in, and then of course get rid of this throw new not implemented line. Okay, so now we're ready to start adding the logic. And the first thing we're going to do is we've got some vector2 variables for the thumbsticks. So left thumbstick underscore val is equal to, this is where we're actually going to capture the information, so pad underscore 01 dot thumbsticks dot left. And the vector2 will take both the X and Y just in one shot. And we're going to do the same thing with the right thumbstick. So these were part of those variables that we created. And pad 01 dot thumbsticks dot right. Okay, and we've got two more number variables. Those are for the triggers. So left trigger underscore val is equal to pad underscore 01 dot triggers dot left, and semicolon, and then right trigger val is equal to pad 01 dot triggers dot right. Okay, and now let's skip ahead just a little bit here. Okay, now I've got a bunch more variables here. Let's stop and talk about these for a second. These are all Boolean variables that correspond to the buttons. And the logic is going to be here that each time we go through the game cycle, it initially sets all of these variables to false, meaning unless I tell you otherwise, the buttons are not pushed. So those are all the buttons, the A, B, X, Y, and the start and back, and the left and right shoulder, and the left and right thumbsticks, which are actually, when you push them down, they're buttons, and then the left, right, and up, down buttons on the D-pad, which is that big button in the lower left. So those are all set to false by default. And now we're going to go through and do if conditionals, and if any of them happen to be pressed, we're going to change those Boolean variables to true. So let's get on with that now. So we'll save it. And if pad01 dot, we can do these in any order, but is button down, buttons dot, and they're all going to look like this, but for different buttons. Then our variable, our bool button underscore a, we're going to set equal to true. So there's the first one. Here's the next one. If pad01 is button down, open paren, buttons dot, they're all going to start that way. B, close paren twice, bool button underscore b equals true. And semicolon. I'm going to add an extra space here. And now we can really just fast forward here. They're all the same. It's all the same variables that we've got set initially. There they are. We've tested for all of them. And if the button is down, the variable was set to true. So that's got those ready. And we can save this again. And we're done.